Hey everybody, it is Cinnamon Cooney, your Art Sherpa, and today I'm going to show you how you can create this gorgeous Halloween themed thistle floral. So I decided that the scariest of flowers was a thistle, and because they look like they're like the most like heavy metal about it, don't they? They're like all, and then yet they're sort of beautiful and amazing and hardy and really tremendous. So I really like them as a subject. They're very interesting and they attract interesting pollinators. So when you're painting them, they just make rich topics to paint. And as you know, we've been doing a lot of glowing light and backlighting and oil techniques. So we're going to be going into those in this particular piece quite a lot. On the mic is my husband, John.
Hello.
Now, how this works is, and I've been doing this a while, so I'm really good at this. I break it down into steps, and every step is broken down into its micro steps. So every technique, every color mix, every tool, everything I'm doing, I don't just demo it, I explain it. And then my husband, John, makes sure the camera's pointing at what we're talking about. And that way you guys can not only learn how to paint this painting, but you're learning how to paint. Because I'm not actually trying to teach you to paint like me. I'm trying to teach you both how to paint, just conceptually, like how it works, and how to paint like yourself. So that's the other thing I want you to keep in mind during this, is that I'm going to have a thistle and you're going to have a thistle. Now, my thistle probably will not be exactly the same, because every time I do something, it's not exactly the same. It's very much the same. And yes, sometimes the team does have to like look at paintings very closely to see how they're different. But even me, an artist doing the same painting over and over again, there'll be differences. You, a whole nother human being with a different life, different environmental stuff, different art materials, different experience yourself, you're going to have a slightly different painting than me. And I want you to know, not only is that okay, it's normal, and it's really what we're going for, because I'm not trying to teach you to be a Xerox machine. I'm just teaching you all the techniques that make painting a joy. And I'm breaking it down so you can do them today, even as somebody who's very new to painting. Now let's go over the materials we're going to use. They're in the description, by the way. I put the materials in the description, and after the video, I timestamp it with the help of our fabulous moderators so that you can find your place again. And you guys have been giving me feedback that that really, really helps you, especially on long projects that you will be doing over multi-days, which I do expect you guys to take longer than I do.
Yeah.
11 by 14 surface. Now, we're finally starting to get ourselves like together. We had that technical thing yesterday, but we're all back on things. So the wish made this canvas. So my wish is that I have been seeing a lot of you guys talk about, not feeling well and needing healing or having recurrent medical issues. So my wish or intention for you guys is that you have a great spooky Halloween, and that whatever healing that you're looking for in your life happens for you.
Yeah.
I've got the colors phthalo green, yellow ochre, burnt sienna, cad yellow medium, cad red medium, quinacridone magenta, which in the Senla line, which is what we have in our art store, is the fuchsia quinacridone. Tube 671. That's the one that you're looking for, is the tube 671. Ultramarine blue, which again, it's called dark ultramarine blue in the Senla line. It's the same as the ultramarine blue that you would get in the Liquitex or the golden. It's just every paint company kind of gives little tweaks sometimes to their names, and then that's why we start talking pigment codes. PB29. It's PB29. I know it's ultramarine blue. It's good. I know what I'm doing.
Just
Dioxazine purple, phthalo blue, Mars black, in the center is titanium white. I will also, during this, to get some effects, likely be using some zinc white. I expect that. Zinc white is different than titanium white. And I do have this zinc white in the art store, so if you want to go by there, you don't have to shop with me. I'm just going to tell you can, but you don't have to. You have options. You live in different places. I'm all good. But this is there. We are good for price checking, though, because we really don't do the weird markup, so it's a good place just to get a baseline on price.
Yeah, we tried it. We tried it like
we do our best. Like whatever we can do, we do.
Yeah, for sure.
We are like I was explaining to me today that our products are on sale price, like on their baseline, like so that we have to be aware of that.
Yeah, that's why we don't send out just blanket coupon codes right now.
Because it's
like we have a really low margin, so we can't even tell like what like. Yeah. So
yeah, we just had a visceral reaction to people overcharging
Yeah.
and price gouging while people are having a hard time. So we went the other way.
yeah.
Gloss glazing liquid is the slow drying extender for acrylic colors. I will be using this. I am changing to satin. Now you guys know I like gloss because I feel like it has less drag on the brush, but it is making my taking a picture of my images a nightmare because it's so shiny.
Shiny.
So normally if I'm going to photograph my artwork, I hit it with a matte
Shiny can
spray so it's matted so that it can be photographed, and then I hit it with gloss. But this really glosses it early, so that's why I would be switching. But satin or gloss is fine. And then for fine lines, like where I need high coverage and maybe like finer lines, I'll use the fluid acrylic, which is also titanium white, same as in the center. You will be seeing this during the show. This is the 2-ounce fingertip sprayer. It's just water in there.
Yeah.
I've got a wet palette, and if they've been out for a second, I spray them.
It's just water in there.
It's just water. You have it at your house, right?
It comes out the tap.
Hopefully we all got that, so let's keep that going. All right, first step, sir.
Oh, okay. There's the first of the steps.
The first of the steps, I'm going to start with the brown, I think. Could do blue or brown, but I think I'm going to start with brown. And I will just go over without dragging my TARDIS sleeves through the paint. Now, is this how you put paint out? This is burnt sienna, and I'm just going to put it out over the whole canvas and paint it all this brown. This is not how you paint a canvas. This is how I paint a canvas because I don't want to mess up my palette. Then what I'll do is I'll mist it with that water mister, and I'll take a big brush and just spread that all around. And that is how I sort of paint that out because all it is an acrylic ground.
Yep.
If you're a patron, we did a live in the patron group right before this show because we really needed to test the equipment to make sure it was going to work. And so if you missed that, you can see that anytime. It's just me talking about, stuff. It's a talky one. It's more like a vlog, I would say. Just a pre-show, catch you up. The text that you received was us. If you received a text saying that your text thing is now with another company, 1, your numbers were not given out anywhere. 2, it is us. It's official. We're moving to a new service that will work better with our website and be better for you guys. Now, what I didn't catch, John, in all of our meetings with them is, are they can people who are not in the U.S. now sign up for text?
We're working on that. So there's a complicated thing. Not quite yet, but soon. So we have to get a phone number for each of the countries that we work with. So now that we have the base system up and running, we're going to have to get a phone number for Canada, and then people will get text from our Canadian phone number, and they'll know it's us. But I don't know.
Maybe we should do like a crowdfunder so we can get each of the numbers, and then we could
possibly.
I don't know.
There's a lot of there's going to be a heavy evolution in this system. And, and for
I
sure,
am just spreading my brown burnt sienna out to make sure that my canvas is completely coated and it's around the edge and that it's well worked in so that when I go to paint it, it's just a good starting place for me.
Yeah.
That's all. You see me being fussy and talking.
It's good to do that. Good to talk.
Louise Stewart says, I didn't get a text.
Well, go to our website. Sign up.
Yeah, you can go to the website, and it should give you an auto prompt to sign up for it. I tested it on my own phone, and it did it to me.
So yeah, if it detects you the first time, you go ahead and dry it. I'll tell them.
I'm gonna dry it. Yeah. John will explain to you the system and give you an idea of how to troubleshoot that.
So what you do is you go to our website and probably just hit refresh. And if you've not been there in a while or ever been there, a little pop-up will say, "Hey, you should sign up for our newsletter and get contacted by us." And it'll ask you to type in your email and your phone number. If you've already entered your email or phone number, it'll say, "Oh, we already have you on our list, so don't worry about it." And then it'll put a little cookie in there that won't ask you again about that. Now, some of you have cookie blockers or pop-up blockers. So if you go to the website, you'll see perhaps in your little browser bar at the top of the page, it'll say "one pop-up blocked." You might have to allow the pop-up on our site theartsherpa.com, or the store. If you click on the store.theartsherpa.com, both those places should launch that same little script. And it's really actually pretty cool, because once you are texted into our system, it becomes very, very interactive. We're just exploring right now what all we're going to do, but I'd say the level of communication we can have with people through the new text system is exciting, and only, I think, because we are who we are, we get to now be able to talk to you guys in ways that we haven't ever before and play games.
Oh yeah, they were so funny. They were like all the stuff that you could do, and we're like, yeah, we're not going to do any of that. We just need to be able to tell them we're alive.
We're not at all using the service for what they were originally designed for.
Oh, Jane made it because of the gnomification.
Ooh.
So if you guys are new here, or you saw the event, or you just haven't ever been to a live before, we call text gnomifications.
Because the gnomes,
because you got to get gnomed. The gnomes are in the know.
The gnomes are in the know, and the gnomes would. It used to be that I would prepare them before the show, and I'd say, "The gnomes, get ready to run," and then the gnomes got digital. There's not as many gnome herding.
So this technique that I'm about to do is going to use the number 1, the 1-inch oval mop from the Princeton Select line, and we do have that on the website. And I'm going to use a damp brush to put out the paint, and then a dry brush to soft blend. You can use a different soft brush. If you have a soft fan brush, you can use it. Any soft flat brush, you can use other soft brushes, but these are the 2 that I like the best. These are my favorite. I am going to show you how to draw the thistle. You can use the traceable. We're just not going to do that yet. We're going to put it on the canvas later. Oh my goodness, Patty Hoffman. Oh, Starbucks. That's mine. Starbucks.
Patty.
That's like one trip to Starbucks anymore, but I'm going. Honey and I talked about walking to Starbucks in the morning.
But it's a little walk, I guess. It'd be fun.
I don't know. I just, I'm trying
I've not looked.
I think it is. It's super long. All right.
It's adventure time.
So let's put out our gloss glazing liquid. Now remember, this isn't just glazing liquid like every other company on the planet has. Most companies have something called a gloss or glaze liquid, and glazing liquid, and so that is just for tinting it and putting out thin applications of transparent things. This does do that, but this also slows down the paint. So when you hear the words extender, that means you can add very little acrylic paint and the medium will still work. And when you hear the word slow drying, it means it's going to slow the drying time down. Right now, technically, if you want something that just slows the drying time down of your paint and isn't a glaze, that's called a retarder. I like the Winsor & Newton one quite a lot, weirdly. It comes in a tube, but it's very difficult to use correctly. So you have to follow those instructions in the same way you have to follow varnish. Deborah Evans, thank you. Deborah's got to watch the replay. But Deborah believes it's going to be a good lesson. Giving me a tip. Thank you, Deborah. Now I'm going to take my phthalo green and a little bit of my glazing liquid, and I'm going to grab some of my dioxazine purple. And what you're going to get from this is one of my very favorite blue grays. And you can see it going right over this back end here, right over the brown. It's quite dark, isn't it?
Wow, it is. It's like, ooh, the darkness.
The darkness. Don't worry, we're going to actually get the craziest color out of this. But this will feel rich like you did in oil painting.
It's like the never-ending story.
Never-ending story. I don't actually sing. I mean, I do it. They'll tell you I do it. I just don't do it like well or for money.
Oh, I have to adjust so that we can see the darkness. Whoosh.
Well, it's very dark. This is
dark. I'm like
optically black.
Yeah, it's like
this is optically black to your eye. Even though we've used no black, we have a chromatic black.
It's super dark. I have to crank that.
One of the tricks of why this might look a little more like oil painting is when you take black out and you use an optically black color, you get the wealth of gemmy tones that you might expect in oil paintings. Now, as I'm coming over, I might go more into my burnt sienna and my phthalo green. This is, just layer 1, so don't be too hard on yourself around it. A little more burnt sienna there. If I need glazing medium, I'm going to get it. And you'll notice that that does absolutely help me blend those two areas together. But we're just creating a depth. Now maybe I'll get a little bit of my yellow ochre in there. And what you should have is an improvement in the blending.
Oh, yeah.
And because we're using a little bit of glaze, this bright kind of red background will glow through. See how it's glowing through?
Yeah.
And right now I'm just getting that first transitional layer on. It's some work. Like I work fast. And the reason I've learned to work fast is I've been doing acrylic painting, and acrylic sometimes doesn't give you a tremendous amount of time to figure yourself out. All right, rinse that out. And we are going to dry this first layer. But look at what, we didn't even have to do the dry brush. Look how smooth and transitional this is. And there's a glow beginning to come up from the base.
It really is. It's super glowy.
Super glow. So we're getting those glows, those impossible glows. We're going to have them.
That's super cool. Thank you guys for coming and being part of all this. It's really nice to see everybody here today. There's so many folks. It really is glowing. I agree with you, Jane. But nice to see everybody out here in chat. Some of you I see returning. Some of us I see for the first time. It's really lovely, and she wants me to thank someone. So I'm going to thank Heather, and I'm going to thank Deborah, and I'm going to thank Patty. I'm going to thank everybody who I see. I'm going to I guys just appreciate everything. If mine's a little on the slow side.
Put out my zinc white.
I couldn't catch who you were saying over the
Hyman artists. I just wanted to say thank you. They gave a nice compliment.
Thank you.
I'm going to put this a couple places just so I have it. So what you saw there, zinc, 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 zinc. See how you can see the little stripes through the paint? It's semi-transparent. It has a low tinting strength. There is some controversy in the oil world with it. It does not apply to acrylic artists at all. Whoop. What was that? It was like flippy flip.
It happens.
Can't seem to. There we go. All right. Now I'm going to come back to my original blue color, which if you guys remember is my Doc's purple and my phthalo green. There we go. I want to get it right into that blue range. And then I'm going to get, can you see how if I get zinc, how light that is? But it's not, it is absolutely a blue gray.
Wow, it's really crazy.
Still I'm using my golden glazing medium. That is to keep my paint wet a little longer. I may even also use
It's very dark. It's very blue. It's like this.
It's very dark. Now grab some zinc and come into this area where it's dark and just brush some in. And what you're going to get is see how they're just, they're so light and airy and blended. So I just took the zinc into that area and started to blend it out. And look, even as I blend it out, it diffuses and blends even more. So those little areas of glow or bokeh could feel very overwhelming. But when you start to do this, then you start to realize, oh, these are just going to be my zinc techniques. These are going to be my golden glazing medium techniques. I've got time. Lots of ways to do this. This is just a good way. Look at that. It's like lit, isn't it? From the dark. You do this with white, it's a little bit harder to get here. Maybe a little more of the blue and white here. A little stronger. And you can see I'm going through my glazing medium fairly fast. And it does take a little longer to dry it when you've got to dry it. I've got my other dry brush here if I need more diffusion, but I think I'm nailing diffusion today.
Yeah.
I think I'm nailing the diffusion. I added a little more white there towards the center because I know I'm going to have a little glow around. Look at that go. So backgrounds like this feel challenging until you understand the techniques to acquire them, right? I'll rinse out my brush because I'm kind of changing colors in a way.
Wow, that's
I
such
can,
a
interestingly
cool
enough,
blue.
come and take a little bit of my purple and the oxazine and my burnt sienna, and also kind of transition a little bit here. Can you see that? Subtle things, but it's glowing. It's like a deep gem now. It feels like there's light distant into the camera, into the canvas. And that is sometimes really hard to do. A little bit of burnt sienna and green. And now we're going to go ahead and get a little yellow ochre involved. And more glazing medium because we don't want anything to stop. We want this to be blended. We want it to be diffused. I'm going over everything quickly, light pressure, lots of directions. Put a little more of that. And you can see I'm starting to get those light glows, those distant glowing little areas of diffuse light that might be coming through. I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of my zinc into my yellow ochre.
That's it. Just kind of
diffusing that in.
wow, just coming through in the background.
If I get a little streak, what do? I just blend it right out.
Wow, that's a really pretty background.
Isn't it just rich and deep and very pretty? I put a bunch of zinc out here because I do want to create sort of this lift through here. But you can see like I'm having to really work to blend it out with my... that's interesting. It went almost neon.
Oh, it's because I have the it's not terribly bad off here. From over here.
Got it. Sometimes with the reflection, I have to check my canvas because normally I would be standing and at a distance from my canvas. Normally. Going to just add a little more like burnt sienna and phthalo green here, and we're going to just keep making sure that we've got little pops of glow, right?
Yeah.
A little yellow ochre into our mix, and we get another little pop of glow. And right here, more towards the center, I'm going to add a little bit of this where it came in with a little more yellow ochre, working it in, a little zinc white, and then glazing medium. And that will help me have the glow around my wonderful thistle. Now, I may have to play with it some more once it's in, right, to put it exactly everything where I want it. Diffuse, 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 diffuse. It should look misty and blended like that.
So misty.
So yeah, it's some work to get to these backgrounds, but they're not undoable and you can totally handle it. Let's dry this thoroughly. Now remember, when you're using glazing medium, drying times will be longer.
Could be longer.
Yeah. So don't be surprised if it takes a minute to not be sticky or tacky. Your drying time might not be my drying time, even in your conditions.
So yeah, Gay Spangler, this would work on a round canvas board, no problem. You would just, you might want to download the traceable and then use it to sort of frame where you're going to want to put that, because your composition of this within that round surface, or through that round sort of stage, is going to talk a lot about. So if you offset the image so that it's just sort of peaking, ooh, excuse me, hiccup got me. If it's sort of peaking on the screen, or sort of peeking up so it leaves a lot of negative space up at the top. That's one way. Having it centered, having it consume the entire thing. So you'll want to play with that a little bit, and consider the space of those the little green leafies down below, and how it offsets the light, and so your composition in that will definitely be something to play with, but there's absolutely no reason why you can't use a round surface with this, or a square one, or make it vertical, or use a triangular one. Actually, I think we've seen some pentagon, hexagon, octagon surfaces at the different events now, so you can get them all different kind of ways. It's kind of neat. But don't let the surface hold you back. Be free to do round and square and triangle and octagon surfaces. Right, Cinnamon?
Yeah. Oh, no, I was reading something from Michelle. Can you catch me up on that?
I don't know. I'll have to go check it.
Yeah, I was like losing my earpiece.
We'll go on to the next step, and I'll go find out what's up.
Yeah.
Let me scroll back.
All right. Oh, Colin is like, I draw and paint thistles all the time in Scotland because they're gorgeous. So gorgeous. All right. Now we're going to do kind of the gesturing in the sketch through here. I'm going to see if my chalk tool, this is my Dritz chalk tool. Now, this is available at Joann's and online, and it is a tailor's chalk tool. And the chalk in here is designed to be able to wash out of the fabric, which means it will not stay on your can. It removes with just water. So I really like that. Now I'm going to come here, not to the center, a little off to the left of the center, and I'm going to make a curving line right through my canvas. This is when you would use the traceable if you're using the traceable. So right through the center of my canvas, and then up here I'm going to, oh, you're going to microwave me? I may need to switch to paint. I'm going to switch to paint to show you. You do chalk, I'll do paint. Okay, it's just getting lighter up here, but okay. Okay. Your small screen. Now I'm going to sit there and kind of give myself right here in that central area a like round ball. And then I know the flower kind of curves out like this. So it's sort of like a ball with a little foot. I want to come up from mid stem, maybe actually no, lower stem, huh? I'm just trying to gesture up. Yeah, I'm going to have to use paint. That's just one of the things that will sometimes happen, is that I will find that I've got to use the paint. I'll use my yellow ochre that I have over here with my brown, because it will work well in what I've got to do later. Now come here and divide off another little point. So I'm just kind of dividing off the direction of where these spiky kind of defensive leaves are going. If you've ever been around where they grow artichokes, or if you eat artichokes, you're well aware that these plants have tremendous defensive capability. I think because they are the tasty. So they're like, uh-oh, since we've decided to be tasty, we better come there. So I'm just adding that little line there. These are just the guidance lines, right? So that I can kind of understand what's happening in my painting. Just using light colors. Now you use the chalk, okay, when you're doing this. I know I'm going to have a little bit, sort of an upward little thing there. There's one that's going to come behind the flower. And then I'm going to also twist another little one there. So these little spikes are almost as important, in some weird sense, as the flower itself. And then I'm going to come here and Kind of curve that around. So I'm giving myself just enough line to hold it. As you move past the traceables into your sketching in, you'll find you use less and less line to hold the image. That's a natural thing. If you're using a lot of line right now and you're variant painting, no, you are right on time doing things as you should. As you paint longer, you may find you start dropping more and more and more of the lines or information visually and discover it more during the painting. That's normal and that's fine. All of that is just good. Now, I am going to lightly give myself a little hint about these guys here. And the reason I'm going to do that is so that when I come back to put in this bright light, I can really see that. I might have made it, I think I blew it up bigger. That's okay. That'll happen. More focal. More the center of attention. More. All right, we're good. Yeah, we're going to dry it. I'm going to dry it because I painted it in, and then we'll start painting in the last little bits we got to do.
All right. So yeah, you can get the traceable on our website, theartsherpa.com, and when you go there, it'll ask you, hopefully, if you want to sign up for your newsletter and the text messaging if you aren't already signed up. If you already are signed up and you put your email in there, it will go, oh, you're already on the list, and it will add you to the do not like. It'll hopefully it'll tick the little cookie thing to not pester you, and you can just go on about your business.
Now again, when you're using the gloss, it does make the surface slicker, so there may be some things you're working on more than you did before, but again, it's the only way to really get it as soft as we have it. I'm going to take a round blender number 12 Princeton. You know I like this brush. And I'm going to go ahead and get my zinc white back over to my background blue-gray color. I'm loading that in. And I'm going to come off the side of the thistle over here. I'm using glazing medium. And with this brush, I'm going to very, very carefully glaze and blend over a bit more glow on this left-hand side. See how that's raising that up? I'll just go over it, blending it in. So I'm blending it into what I already have. Maybe put a little focal point up there. And because of what we've done underneath, this doesn't end up being just an overlay. It feels like it's part of where we've been when we have it right. Don't be too stressed over here because we have a lot of leaf going over it. But what we're doing is we're lightening up some of what is happening around the flower. You can always come back if you need to put any back. You just go back into your original blue-gray color. See how we do there? And you can kind of come back in and erase anything. So you are not stuck at any point here. Subtle is big. Back to the zinc and some glazing medium. Come off this end here. It's pretty light, isn't it? Just soft little circular motions and just come back with a little bit of darker color, and you can see I can create dimensionality to it. Coming up the light purple, I can darken that back in. So you've got room to work your background. It's wonderful. We're going to come through here and we're going to add some light into that. So this time I'm going to get a little bit of my cad yellow over to my mix from earlier, which was my burnt sienna. And there was a little phthalo green there and a little yellow ochre there. But now I'm just working in a little cad red into the burnt sienna and letting it pick up a smidge of the green, which takes it into a green gold. And then I'll go ahead and work that into my zinc white and some glazing medium. And see, up here, we're going to have a bit of a very light area. That our purple petals are going to go over. So I will bring this into where I know I'm going to have my purple petals and then pull it out. Same process of laying out the paint and then coming back, diffusing, softening, blending. If you need to wipe off on a paper towel so you can come back and do a softer blend, you can do that. Adding little kind of like, they're almost like little bokeh moments of light, aren't they? Pretty special. I can always come back with like a little of my blue-gray even into that, right? It's crazy how that goes like neon green. Think about that a little bit. It shouldn't, and yet it does. Yeah. That is actually, so whenever I have something that does a thing that is surprising to me.
And it's actually, like, you can see it. Like,
yeah,
I
it's
can
happening.
see it, yeah.
I'm coming back up with just the purple.
Well, I always have to look. See, right now, this is doing a phenomenal job of not getting too much of a glare on that direct overhead. So I'm just kind of leaving it there, and the colors are pretty accurate. That's so you
No,
can
no,
see.
no. I can see that it's accurate. What it is there's some weird color theory thing happening there
Oh,
that
yeah.
I've got to go back, duplicate this whole thing, look it up on Pigment, and be like, what is going on? So that neon surprised me. I will be watching this video to be like, how did we get that neon? Because I want it again. Right? I want to get that crazy green again. That was weird. All right. Speaking of, let's get back into a little of our yellow ochre and our burnt sienna. Smidge of green into that. And definitely get a little zinc white. And make sure that off this side of the thistle there is also some light that we are playing with. And yes, I do know I'll have leaves here that will cover some of what I've got going on. But I find even in this, just blending down past where I need it sometimes helps me even find the technique. So I don't mind when it goes further than I expected. But see how that's sort of a glow? That's what we're trying to get, is sort of a glow. Speaking of, I'm going to get a bit more of the zinc into this. See if I can't improve this glow a bit. I need more glazing medium. Put some out. Sometimes I'll be going along and I'm like, what I feel is that the paint is tacky. It's just in bad taste. I can mist with water, but it may leave big water droplets or droplets where I don't want, leaving behind a texture that's not as maybe my favorite. And then a little like more challenging in that space. And so then blending, I would have to come back with that dry brush. That's how I would get there. And that creates just wild. I'm going to blend it in as much as I can, as soft as I can. But if you use a brush for blending, you do have to rinse it. Even small amounts of paint will stiffen your brush. Choo, choo, choo. I need to go lighter, but I'll have to go drier. So let's try everything. Dry it.
Try it all.
Try it, dry it, enjoy it, and buy it.
So the glow, I love how the glow behind this just appears, and it's sort of important to get that layer in there of light behind it so that as you come in with the next subsequent layers, they all show up correctly. And that's pretty much it. In this layer, if you're using those glossing, those extender mediums. It may take a little longer. You can always check out our website for all the resources that you might need. There's cool stuff there. We even have a shop there now. And I think the shop is mostly working with good stuff in it. Pretty good prices. We're like all sorts of we're working on it.
We're working on it.
Stuffs.
Loading my brush back up with glazing medium and zinc white.
A whole new step.
A little more yellow ochre in there. And you can see we're starting to get into that lighter space that we're looking for. I'm going to grab a little more cad yellow into it. That glow it will help the glow. And I will break it up and press it out. So I know I'm going to blend those shapes in, but by breaking it up and pressing it out, that'll give us sort of like also dappling. I'm going to add a little more of my zinc white here, just a little heavier because I do want it to be a little stronger. Adding some little, now rinse out. It's pretty. It's okay. Now one thing I can do is I can take a dry brush, dry oval mop. Begin the process of softening the technique. Sometimes I'll add glazing medium to my brush in the way one might add water to improve the flow. Just another little, and see how that's starting to give that little light smoky effect coming off this thing. Now I've got lots and lots and lots of little petals that'll be over this, but I've got to create that before I can start putting their delicate truth over. I might grab a little more of my zinc white. And I just use the same brush because I'm just wanting to improve the just blending and swirling and just trying to get it in there. I'll rinse out. Pretty bright. I do like it. Still need to soften it though.
Yeah, a little softer.
So my brush is damp, and what I'm doing now is I'm just coming back in, softening some of this. You can always come back with anything else and deepen it. I think that'll give us kind of what we're hoping for off this edge. We can always like trade it up or change it out as we go. That won't be a problem. Okay. I am going to grab I think I'll use a 1/2 inch angle brush. Angle. Gonna take my burnt sienna and my my burnt sienna and my phthalo green.
Yeah.
Make up a fairly dark color and paint in my thistle. This will be the stage at which I find its shape, paint in the petals, fix its symmetry, all those things. Now down here, because I need to be able to see it, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of burnt sienna and cad yellow into it. And you'll notice that will help it really show. We will be doing the blue-green in here. That is happening. It's just right now we just want to get this kind of on. And I can even blend this out into the green. So burnt sienna and green again. Round that out there. Round that out there. Now it's very interesting because we have these leaves, and these leaves are strong compositionally, for sure. I'm going to grab a little bit of my yellow ochre in there. I'm not going to paint in the spiky detail yet, but just the overall shape and directionality of it. Giving ourselves a nice thick stem. These are hardy plants. They are strong plants. They have a plan. They will survive. They're not delicate though. They will absolutely hold their space. So again, just kind of laying them out right now. I've got to figure out how I want to deal with the foreshortening of it. Just coming here and adding these little greens. You're just blocking in.
Blocking the leaves.
Blocking in, yeah. Just the core shapes. Now, if during blocking in you're like, you don't like it, you can always change it. I think like one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a little bit between the green and the stem. Because like just reflecting on that, I think that will look better. We'll see when I get there. I can add, it's tough to take away, so I find I like to build things kind of as I go over time.
Just little layers.
It's, you know, it's easier to add than subtract, right? In some ways. Now I'm going to take a little bit of my ultramarine blue and my quinacridone magenta. Not my ultramarine blue, my diox purple and my quinacridone magenta. I'll come right here. Across this top. I'm not brushing out very far. That looks like not like it's very shallow. I don't want to take the depth of it out in distance. That is not a thing I want to do. So this is where we want to start this, and then we'll do the delicate work of the little bloom. But you do want some of the base of it where you can have some control and put it into shadow and everything. You just don't want to go past that. All right, let's call that a step. Dry everything so we don't drag it all over our canvas. And since we're not doing wet into wet blending on it later.
Yeah. Just thoroughly dry between the steps. That way you can get the layered effect that she's looking for here. And it'll start to develop through the background. This is our underpainting phase. Everything looks a little wonkety, and the next layers have to come in to get us to that next place. So don't feel weird if you get to a place and you're like, what the heck am I doing here? Just got to keep painting. It's that part of the painting where you keep going and things will start to develop.
One would hope. We do hope that. I'm going to switch to my filbert. Ooh. All right, let's do a filbert. So this is the number 4 Isabey Isacryl. And I'm going to start painting in my stem and working out some of these more interesting colors. So let's go back to our Diox purple and our phthalo green as a color. And I'm going to get some zinc, like you do. And it will be a little more purple. There we go. Sometimes it helps to bring a little over. And then you can find your moment. I'm going to come down the stem with that. And then I'm going to just make sure I've got some titanium white in there. And you will instantly notice that that color is so much stronger than the zinc that it's just not even a comparable. And the reason for that is you actually want a white that's a little more timid in your life, because the titanium white, you're always having to control how much it overwhelms what you're working on. Get a little bit of green and purple. Kind of blend that up into that. Now I know I've got lots of spikes down there in the stem, so it'll be some work for me to get that worked out. I'm taking a darker green here at the bottom. Just making sure we've got a nice little blue cast happening a little bit on the stem first. I have been painting artichokes and thistles probably most of my adult life as a subject on purpose because I like it. That's really what it is. All right, I've got burnt sienna, yellow ochre, and I've got quite a lot of phthalo green. Coming up from the bottom, start that sort of overblend into that wild stem color. The pigmentation in a flower is often also present in the stem and leaves, which I really, really like. I really, 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 really like. I'm going to put out some more burnt sienna, because clearly we're low. And put out some more glazing liquid, because clearly we're low. Let's mist everything out. Get a little bit of zinc white. I'm going to add a little bit of a highlight, kind of showing the turn of that leaf. Come up the center of this one.
Darcy really wants to paint an artichoke now.
Oh, they're so fun. They are incredibly enjoyable to paint. Just for sure. Grabbing a little bit more green into this one and kind of pulling that back. And maybe a little more out here. Oh yeah, that'd be great. Just adding, I'm starting to add light hitting it. I'm adding light hitting the flower. Big thing, fun times. Now, interestingly enough, this even within the shape of it has its own shading. So I would say like for the majority of it, you'd be like green and purple as kind of almost a quite dark. And bring this back. It's definitely, you know, experiencing some things down low. And I'm kind of scumbling and blending this as I go. Definitely under where the petals are. I expect there to be some darkness. Maybe just a little bit as I'm winding up. I'm going to wipe my brush off. I just tint it back. It's like a kind of hinting it back with this. I still need it more green, so I'll come over here. I got into my yellow ochre and my burnt sienna. What I'm doing is I'm just making sure that this part of the bulb is lighter. This is an under kind of structure that's going to help us when we put the thistles in. You can't really shade it once the thistles are in. So doing this now gives us so much. Maybe a little more burnt sienna and yellow ochre here. No more yellow ochre. Get some more zinc into that. Let's just make sure that this part of our thistle has got some bright light. We're going to put lots and lots and lots of little spikies around it, but knowing that that's here, and what you see me doing is tapping my brush and blending in. So that's another way to blend like that. Just the way I'm using my brush is helping me get some stuff. And then if I need to come in with my background color and kind of blend that as up well, I can do that. I can work it as much as I need to find the subtle transition. Tapping, 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 tapping. Trying to create that subtle focal transition right here. Isn't that nice? It's nice. I like that quite a lot. Now I'm going to put a little bit more yellow ochre. Cad yellow over here. Burnt sienna. Phthalo green. Sometimes I might lighten it with a little yellow ochre or cad yellow, depending on what is needed in the area. We'll see how light this is. Coming right into that. I'm going to take some of this little highlighted green up here. And then bring a little edge to the leaf. I will be exaggerating the little edge to the leaf later, believe you me, but I gotta start thinking about how these are. And I want it just to be a little just pulling these in, building out leaves. Wiggle that back and forth, kind of transition that in. It's quite stunning. Sometimes I'll get in there and find just some more green. And keep in mind that you have the ability to come back and glaze. So if you lose a shadow or highlight, you're not at all ever stuck. Come here. Shade the back side of that. I just grabbed some purple and green just to make sure that that was shaded. There we go. Kind of twist it out a little bit. All right, look at us go. Look at that just take shape. Those crazy spiky leaves are everything. Let's dry it. Dry it. Take a deep breath. Feel your body. Make sure nothing's hurting. It's a good time to stand and stretch if you haven't thought to do so far. Remember, every about 40 minutes, every 35, 40 minutes, if you could stand up and stretch on your painting session, since you're not teaching it live online, that will be super good for your health. So good for your being.
Yeah, always good to remember to take those stretches. And thank you guys all for being part of our community. We love you guys so much. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you, Angela, and all of the other super chatters and supporters that have helped us today. We really appreciate it. You can go to theartsherpa.com and click on Patron to learn more about our patronage. It's a way that you can help support us doing what we do, which is making free content all the days of the week. and the weekends and the in between the weekdays and the weekends and all the times we can squeeze in. And every day we're getting better and better at doing more and more. So things are, gosh, we're super blessed to do this, and we're working hard to do more. So thank you.
Bob was asking about why not using a darker color before the green that I've used. And what I find with acrylic painting, because I do acrylic and watercolor and gouache, is that whereas watercolor we retain our whites, we pull our lightest colors, and add darker and darker, we develop the picture. In acrylic, for me, the process that I like is I don't do my darkest shadow and my whitest highlights, but I like to work in my middles, my dark middles and my light middles for most of the painting, kind of pulling it out. And then in that last bit, I hit my shadows and my highlights and my glazes, which sort of resolves everything. Not the only way to do it. It's just a good way to do it. Does that make sense?
It is.
All right. I'm going to put my vision enhancers on because, well, being able to see so helps the painting process. Take a sip, and then we'll put up the next step, or have we already?
All right, put it up just now. Got you a little warmer in there going too.
I like it. I like it a lot. Let's come in here and switch to my number 6 sepia round. I'm going to come into my Doc's purple in my phthalo green. And off of this, I'm going to pull out just some little lines. This is one of my favorite parts of this. See how that just already starts to give you that unbelievably textural, intense opportunity to just play. I think thistles give us that gives us such an opportunity to think about what we want out of the creative moment. Now we will be coming back with the kind of haloing effect, but the halo actually works much like fireworks, where fire never looks like fire until you put the charred black contrast in there, right? Where there's the fire and the red and the glow, but the black in there, the shadow, is as much what makes it feel like fire as what is fire. In this,
Fire.
what will make it feel like glow is the deep shadow in the center of the glow. So that's why that's worth putting on at this stage.
Fire.
And it's really noticeable in this particular space. Now I'm going to grab a little bit of my green again, and this is where my yellow ochre was heavy, and I'm going to go even heavier. And I'm going to come along here. Sometimes I roll my brush.
What do you mean roll your brush?
I come in here and I roll the paint out of it, or I roll it out on the towel, and then I load back on the tip. And I look for little missing water drops, because you know those are just going to be a problem.
Thank you for all the little love emojis.
We very much appreciate it. I'm coming along the edge of the leaf, and we are really just thinking about the spikes.
The spikiness. The do not touch me of the flower.
The flower has a lot of ways it tries to say to intruders that it doesn't feel like being messed with. A lot of ways to say it. So just coming through here and...
Personal flower bubble. May only pollinators enter it.
Yeah, it does seem to... It tracks pollinators beautifully. These also are a nice plant if you're trying to attract dragonflies to control your mosquito problem in your yard naturally, because they're late, they have their, you want to look at how you plant things, how they, what they attract, what can perch on them, and what time of year that they might, be blooming so that you get kind of year round. Just sort of thinking about all of that now. I'm going to kind of add a forward-facing leaf there, I think. Just sort of kind of foreshortened and coming at us. That that I can layer over now. I can always go right into my dark color and even shade it early where, the underneath of it is kind of shaded. So we can see that it's coming forward. And I really try to just pull that stem sort of into the deep, deep shadow. Fine with these, just the biggest thing is just make sure, make sure you're really just taking the time to enjoy how much fun it is to paint this strange little plant. Just putting different little lights on. Put the light on. I really try to stay focused on keeping it spiky. That is, I think, the biggest thing. Connect these up in a much more aggressive way. Ooh, I like that little spike out. So I'm just trying to make these interesting. Sometimes I grab some zinc white just to make sure that I can see all the little highlights and everything that I need. I actually do like that opening there just a little bit more, just personally. I do. I do. All right, let's call it a step. Take a little bit of my cad red and my cad yellow. I'm going to also put out a little fluid acrylic over here if I need it. And I may have to switch into a tiny, tiny detail brush, but we'll see what we get with this. And what you see me doing is rolling. I'm trying to hold the point. Super important. Just starting to put, it's not a halo, like such a halo the minute it's a halo. Just kind of on the toe of my brush and just trying to make sure that the halo is present. I'm going to put this aside for a second, and I'm going to grab a detail brush. I'm going to grab a Princeton liner, and I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit of my cad yellow and my white kind of on there together. Add some interesting little highlighting to that outer edge. Isn't that wild? Mm. Maybe a little lighter up there. Rinse out. Take a little bit of my cad red and my quinacridone magenta. See how I'm adding that glow?
I do.
The glow is never just yellow.
It's amazing.
It's never just yellow. It is so many.
It looks so much better on the overhead.
Does it? I love, love, love when it really starts to light up. A little bit more red in there and yellow. Roll it so it's loaded on just the tip. Just brush that up along there. Rinse that out. Now I'm going to go get a little bit of my dark phthalo green again. Sometimes if I don't want to use water as a way to thin it, I can use glazing medium to improve the flow. So know that you can do that. Know that you can. Now I'm putting little shadows back in here to those. And that just, what we're doing is we are painting the shading of our little thistles off this backlighting. Isn't that wonderful? Really, really, really making sure it's just on the toe. Hmm. Look at that go. It's so pretty, guys. We got this. You got this. I know these are big projects. I love that you go for them. I think that's super fun. Just make sure that this will be tucking behind my little petals when they get up there, because I think that little orange glow is going to be everything. We can call that a good job. Go ahead and get a little bit more of our orange.
It is a good job.
And where we have little spiky needles on our leaf, let's go ahead and add a little bit of that orange glow. Just if you dry brush it, it will appear further in the background. Which I do like. A little bit of glazing medium. Does not hurt. See, and that just puts that little leaf in the sun, doesn't it? So it's definitely, you play with it, and then you... Oh, I love putting little stuff in the sun. Hmm. I don't know if that's light enough for in there. I wiped off my brush because I didn't feel like I was getting a fine enough line. Just a little bit of low spikes down here. But I've got glazing medium, so it's very transparent, and what that does is it makes it seem like there's something down there, but that you're barely seeing. Super easy to come back. Just going through. So where it's less, I can use the glazing medium to make it be less on its own. You can edge some of the leaves too. Really just make sure that they're delicate. I would say that that's the first big, most important thing is going to add a little bit of that there and a little more glazing medium. You just paint up the layers. All just silliness anyways, right? All just a little silliness anyways. Ooh, that was too much. That was like... So that'll happen sometimes, and what I'll do is before anything dries, I will pick up the excess with a brush. I don't have a worry. That actually ends up being a feature than a fault, which you gotta love. Deep breath. Know you can do this. This is your time away from all of the stuff that could be irritating, frustrating, stressful. It's your space. This is not the moment to be hard on yourself or hypercritical of every perceived mistake that doesn't apply in art. Go watch that portrait competition, the Great National Portrait Competition. Watch professional artists going, I don't know, it's going to work out or it's not.
I'm going to try to zoom in on the small detail.
Yeah, zoom in on the small detail. I'm serious. Just listen to these artists that are working as artists for a living, who are very experienced in their fields, going, at this stage, who knows? We just put paint down and hope it works out. If you're feeling that, that's not an unusual feeling for the creative process, right? That's okay. Something I noticed about myself is that in brush work, right, I have this much more kind of, this is just gestural kind of stroke. But in a stylus, I'm like, gotta loosen up. There we go. Just putting little bits of that sort of lighting and everything here and there. There might actually be an even better way of doing that now that I'm looking. So I'm going to rinse this out for a second. For a second, and I'm going to grab this white, and I'm going to bring it into my green here. It's pretty minty, I would say. Grab some of my glazing liquid so it doesn't give me a pain. Just create some veining for that, right? Putting some little angry So we're just adding this, like these little touches. And I'm wiggling this brush up and down, creating kind of a rough texture and everything on that. Too much. I get a little bit of this green over to this yellow and include some white. Quite stunning, I think. We're just playing out these details. You've got to get so much of them in before you can even really see your piece to do anything with it. Just adding those little highlights. Coming through here and adding little highlights. So that starts to give us that like backlighting and that drama that we're looking for. All right, let's dry everything to make sure we don't get any of our delicate line work kind of messed up.
Sure.
And then we're going to keep painting.
Just keep painting, just keep painting. So when she looks up, yes, she is looking at the painting on the monitor, Bob. And that's because sometimes she can't take a step back away, so she tries to tries to just get a different view of it. And that helps. Sometimes you can just stand up, walk away from your surface, get a little view away from it, and that can give you that same effect. Is you ready for the next step?
I am. All right, let's do some more detailing, and we'll just keep painting along. So I'm going to come in here where my white has been added. I'm going to grab some zinc white and kind of add that in. I'm going to get a little bit of a mint, and then some of it will be a mint yellow. I'm going to come through here in a couple of places. Start to, I might want to go even whiter than that, I think. Have some little highlights. Come through here. A little bit darker, and you can just keep wiggle some up there. Little yellow and red here. Painting a little along there. Oh, just breathing it in. It's okay. Just adding light. It's just light sometimes. Just adding a little more light here and there. Burnt sienna and phthalo green. And come back with a dark color and make sure that we're shading stuff back, Adding a little dark value back. So that's what you're looking for, is you're going, where can I put my dark back? Where can I put my light back? Looking pretty good. Look, they're just starting to be a thing. Maybe a little more of the magenta over here. And I can get a little of my ultramarine blue and some of my zinc white. It's quite colorful. And then some glaze. It's kind of, kind of glow that up a bit. As you do, as you might, as you think about. All right. This is a interesting one. I'm going to take a little bit of my white over here. I'm going to mix my burnt sienna and my phthalo green with it. Almost in a mint. It's okay if just a hint of purple gets in there. See how that grays it just a touch? That's how we're graying it. We're going to start going through and talking a little bit about the thistles on thises. The thistles on thises. Putting them here and there. This light color, I'm brush stroking that out in this very kind of indescript way. So let me show you on white so you can really see it. It's not tidy. You want to zoom on it? Okay. See how the brush makes those kind of marks? So if I go like this, look what I get. Just on its own. Every brush you have has several stages. You have the, perfect line stage, right? Where you're like, oh, my line is really good and I got my load and all that and it paints thick. But then there's this sort of like when you're being silly with the brush and you see the brush strokes. That's what we're trying to get to. Trying to see them brush strokes. Also a good way to see the color. I won't go too far into the shadow. It'll be a little bit, but not too far. Just because I don't think we'd see that much of it there. Take a little bit more of my white in there. So we're just getting a sense of the structure, which I like quite a lot. So much. Okay, let's call that a step and let's get into our purple, which I'm going to start out with as ultramarine blue and quinacridone magenta and a little bit of zinc so we can see where that purple's at. It's okay. I'm going to come up here and flick. Not too far. Now it's just like eyelashes. It curves over to the left on the left side, straightens out as you hit the center, and then curves right as you go towards the right bottom. I'm not going too much past this, am I? I may go a little bonkers, but I will try not to on the flower. I try to be mellow as I can be. Grabbing a little bit of my purple, and if I get a little of my phthalo blue in there, it takes me to the strangest purple. And we're adding little hints of purple to that, aren't we? Okay. Missed my paint if it's not coming out the way I'd like. Going back over those things kind of carefully, kind of thoughtfully, grab a little bit of that mix there. It's just enough to see this first layer, and then you can always come back and simplify it. You can see that we start to bring just a subtle, man, it's just a subtle variance over here, so we know that the thistles also exist in the shadow as well as in the light. Then I'm going to get some of my fluid. Add a little more blue into it. It's distinctive. This is the phthalo blue. So I've added fluid white and a little bit of that. And let's add just a little highlight in that purple. See how I put a little bit there and there, so it looks like, oh, a little light caught the purple so we can see it. That's as important as everything else. Just adding those little highlights. Have fun with it.
That's really crazy. Celtic Peasant's been with us for 2 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. And Ramona Razy says, Cinnamon John Mods and Sherpa and Painters, you brighten my day, you make me laugh, love, and blessings to all. See, this is what I was talking to the patrons about before today's show. When we went live in the group, was that we have like the best group ever. Like, so cool and so loving and so amazing. I'm going to grab a little bit of my zinc here. Maybe where my light focal is, I might make them a little more noticeable, I guess. Oh, that's looking really good. It's looking really good. Now I want to come back in with a little bit of my purple and green. Making sure that my clumps have that darkness in them. That also helps it, you know? That got too bright. I can knock those back. So this is too bright. You can knock it back. You're totally set where you need to be set. Let's call it a new step.
Okay.
I'm not hating it.
I like it. I think it looks cool.
All right. I'm still on my number 6 Sepia by Raphael. Really like this is around. Really, really, really do. Now I'm going to come here and grab a little bit of my quinacridone maybe and some cad red. I'll mix that into the purple. Get into my zinc. It's going to be a weird moment. Oh, let's grab some orange in it, actually.
Yeah.
That's lovely.
That really is pretty.
Isn't it? Oh, I just love thistles. They just say, paint me, love me, make it work. And one is just like, yeah, okay, that seems reasonable. I'll do that. Okay, grab just a little bit of my white here. Maybe a little more of my fluid white. I think it's important to curve this little brush stroke in the same way towards the right at the bottom, towards the left at the top, centered out. I think that's very helpful. That's looking pretty good, isn't it? I'm liking it. Come up here, a little bit of quinacridone, a little bit of ultramarine blue. I like that. So you can kind of see that that's starting to glow that end up. Sometimes I put too much out there and I just knock it back. Kind of stress on it. All right, let's get a very, very light, almost white. I am just going right into my fluid white. I'm still just using my sepia, curving the brush strokes a little bit. Adding a little bit of kind of white highlighting around that side because we're trying to make this look like the sun is almost behind this and that we're seeing the glow come around it. I think I over fertilized my flower, John. But I've decided bigger is better. That was a little thicker than I would have liked, but that's okay. Trying to hide my brush strokes here, so. Now I can always come in and with a little detail brush, make sure that these little feathery ones are as fine as they need to be. They're fine.
That's
Oh
a
my
very
goodness,
fine thistle.
Huh?
It's a very fine thistle.
It's a lovely thistle.
It's a lovely thistle.
It's a lovely thistle. It needs a little more work, but it's doing quite well.
It's very thistly.
It's thistly. Now I'm going to grab my filbert grainer. I'm going to get it a little bit wet. We go into my magenta a little more, I think. And my purple mix over here, just kind of getting a little warmer one, and my fluid white. Brushing that out. And what you can see, if you've never seen one of these before, see if I can get one for you. See, it just makes these little lines. It's just a terrific brush to have around for hair, for feathers, for sea foam, for leaves, just for so many things where, you know, you've got that wonderful kind of sense of hair, or like multitude of lines is what I would call it. Go back into this like kind of purple blue over here. I might get a little kind of phthalo blue and purple together. Maybe a little more purple. A little more purple. Little blue there. Maybe another little blue right here. Little hints of blue. Gonna improve this with some glazing medium. I'm just going in with quinacridone and a little bit of zinc. How we're doing? And it really does start to look like it's a glow, do it not?
Boy, it does. It's a very glowy glow.
It's a very, very good glow. I'm going to get a little fluid white into here. Might be too much for it. We'll see how it goes. Maybe a little bit of cad red and quinacridone magenta and zinc white. Sometimes back into the orange. The orange, I think, is going to get me to my brightest glow. See how we're going? And that's giving me a very, very bright, bright, bright glow. Okay, let's dry everything. This is a good substructure. We're close. We're getting there now.
This is so good.
We're doing okay.
So thank you guys all for staying. Yes, I agree. This is incredibly pretty. It's really I'm really happy with this. It's gonna be one of the ones that go on the wall, and we're gonna love having it around. It looks even better than the reference photo. It's prettier, more pretties. More purples, more oranges, more reds, more lovelies, and man, it's even prettier in person. I wish you guys could see it in person. If you're painting your own, you're going to know it. It's just so pretty.
Oh, well, that's good to know.
Okay. So
all right.
You need another step.
Another step. I'm going to take
the
a little bit.
13th step.
Up. I'm going to take a little bit of my quinacridone and my ultramarine blue, and that's going to give me a nice little purple. I'm going to come here, and I'm using my detail brush. I'll check it for some drops. This is the number 1 Princeton, and I'm going to go ahead and just make sure we've got some dark purple bits of thistliness coming up also to contrast with the backlighting. Because remember, we talked about shadows and highlights are important in moments like this. That's how we talk about the way light is. And when we're talking about the way light is, we can't skip the shadows. They both need to exist. Pretty good. I like it. I'm going to go ahead and put some glazing medium out. I'm going to very carefully glaze the bottom. I'm going to take that purple and the glaze. And just darken it. I'm also going to take this glaze, come down here and just make sure that this is also got a bit more of that depth. I'm just using that purple color again. Isn't that amazing? Just takes it into that shade. Now I also want to take a little bit of my purple and phthalo green and a little more phthalo green. Like I want to get to very distinctive minty mint, grade mint. When I get there, I'm going to use my glazing medium. And where I wanted just a little more muted, might come in and play with that as well. Trick is it's got to be minor enough that it doesn't overwhelm what you've got going on. I may even switch, interestingly enough, to a round blender. So I'm switching to a round blender. I'm getting into that mint. I'm getting into my glazing medium. And I may even put glazing medium into that mint. So the mint was phthalo green, zinc white, and a little Diox purple, but just enough to gray the mint color that I do have. Anywhere I felt like things were just a little saturated, I can knock it back. Back into my glaze. Just soft blending. And that's just if you want to knock anything back. I'm just kind of knocking back those little highlights down there, right? And then maybe a little bit right here. See how that just pushes them back? I like to push. I don't know what that even means. Ah, so funny. So super funny. I'm going to put this to the side for a second, and I'm going to get into just my zinc. Just a little bit over here, just zinc. I'll grab my grain color into my zinc, but it's still clearly the zinc white. And come along and add these weird little, this will look like light flares to us, I think. I wish this would stay on. It's more comfortable, but it definitely exits my ear. I don't know if it's messing with the sound or nothing. Oh no, I think it's the combo of my
Yeah,
glasses.
just a little. We'll get better. We'll
Oh,
get
we're
better at
getting
it.
there.
But this is a good thistle.
This is a great thistle. It's perfect. It's a great floral to do. Um, oops. I just push that back and I don't worry about it. Anyways, I would put more of that there. Just kind of increasing the highlight there. Does that make sense? Just like to add little bits of light where it might have hit. It might have just gone. A little bit of my yellow back into my green. Just push some yellow there. So we're just looking for the little bits of highlights. Anything that we want for this piece to make it feel finished to us is kind of where we want to go. You know, now I can come in. I can also knock back a little bit of my highlights if I have enough glaze. Come here and load up a mop brush. But glaze is giving me grief. Sometimes I've got to unclog the top to improve the flow, like you do. There we go. Glaze. So this is a little bit brighter, and I do want to knock it back. So I'm going to take a little bit of my brown and some black. Maybe some of this purple. Let's see if we can't. Yeah, we can. So I threw a little purple in there because it will counterbalance the light some, gray it back, giving me another sense of transition. And that way I don't have to worry about that being too light. Look at us go.
So fluffy.
So again, that can make it a little bit of a hard thing to photograph for social media when you glaze like this, because this one's gloss, and that one does tend to reflect back up, which is never John's favorite when we're trying to, you know. And I can come and even glaze some of my leaves back. And do you see how that pushes some of them more into distance space? So if I feel like anything is too forward, if I push it back like that, look where it went. Anything can be brought forward and pulled back. All right. I think the last thing is to do, we've spent such a lovely amount of time together. I would hate to go, but I do feel like it's probably okay at this stage. I'm going to take a little bit of my fluid white over to that glazing color I just made, just so I can have a nice background signing color. All right. And then we got a little signature on there. And look at us. So that is, absolutely a lot of fun to do. And I made his little butt bigger. One of the little things that you can do and think about as an artist, even as a new artist, is really pushing yourself to do the things that other artists are reluctant to do. Play with light, play with water, play with the things that make you uncomfortable. Do the difficult techniques, foreshorten the figure. Really push and push and push and until it becomes stressful. As long as it remains fun, ask challenging things of yourself. Now, if it stops being fun and you start belittling yourself and just saying you're making mistakes, you must immediately stop doing that and go back to projects that are fun. But just when you're looking to grow your technique, well, that was an alfalfa moment. If you were looking to grow your technique, what you want to do is you want to go into things that ask you to overcome the speed of the paint that's drying, get into some of those new materials and try to do techniques where someone is coming up and like not 100% sure if you used acrylic or oil and that you can actually then with these mediums, you can look at other lessons that are maybe oil focused or different and be like, oh, I might be able to do that. Like, I think I know how that was done. Like how to get the lighting around here or, how to get the back glow or the subtle glows in a misted, dramatic background. Those things are super, super doable. Oh my goodness, John. We did it. I don't know what is up with my hair today. It is just...
It's fine.
It's not fine. It's literally getting weirder. And now I don't have. That's so weird. All right. There's no fixing it. It has... Hank grained on me.
But you don't do a hair show.
Huh?
This is not a hair show.
It better not be, right?
We also don't do...
Who else looks like this after they paint?
We also do math and English.
Who else is like... They come out of the studio and they're like, it's done. I got it. It's finished. And then your family's like, how'd it go? I'm like, I don't know. And they're looking at you trying to discern how it went. I'm sorry, that was a little silly. Juliet Moon is so sweet. Both you and your hair look great. And there's that person that always like they're not sure if you like know how to paint, and so they'll scroll to the end of your video to see, so like go in and then they go, what does it look like at the end, and decide if they want to paint it. And then they're not gonna know me, and they're gonna scroll to the end and they're gonna see that look and they're gonna think that looks harder than I want to do. She looks like she had a moment. I also think that having to re-ear myself is, I don't know what is going on with me today. It's so weird. Well, I got some bed hair don't care day. I did the lavender field and chair Simon posted last year and redid it 3 times and still didn't feel it was up to par. Perhaps I should just do it and be happy with my progress and not worry about it. This is Angela Maines. Angela, you just nailed the secret to enjoying your art.
Yep.
And by the way, I struggle with this. So one of the things I have to do even now is not compare myself to others and then deem myself not worthy. You want to be inspired by others. You want to be inspired by others to try a technique or try something new or be playful or be fun. But when that inspiration starts to become criticism in your own head, you need to stop looking at them for a while and get back to just enjoying the moment. Instead of worrying about every mistake that you made and everything you did wrong, try to be present to when things start to go well for you. When does the color mix go great? When does the blend go right? And really be attentive to why.
Right.
Because from there you can grow things. Yes, stress yourself. Put yourself out there. Try a new technique. Be prepared. Art requires a complete acceptance that on occasion failure is going to happen because art is about experimentation.
Yeah.
You can't experiment without the chance of it going wrong. I can't. Sometimes I'm going to put a color up there and be like, well, that's a neon green, and I don't know why. I got to go look that up on the internet.
It's an interesting color.
It's an unexpected color, and I don't run into that many unexpected things this point in my life. And so that was really fun, and I'm going to have a whole exploratory moment that may even become a short. But the thing is that you are not the artist that you're going to be when you finally drop your mortal coil and go on to whatever is next, if something is next. And please don't write me a bunch of things to tell me what you believe that is. You are welcome to all the beliefs that are out there, but I am general in my language because I recognize that we all have ideas and that we're all welcome to those, and I want to leave room for yours while making room for mine. All right. So, but when you do whatever it is that's next, the painter you will be then is not the painter you will be at any point along the way. You never stop getting better at your art. You never stop getting more skilled. That is why so many of the artists that we all admire are in their 60s. This is a field for which, unlike math, where you peak in your youth and then good luck to you, I guess. I don't even know how I'd feel about that. So glad I'm not a mathematician. We never stop peaking. We never stop growing. We never stop getting better. We never stop acquiring a new skill or new idea or new creative process.
We have neuroplasticity.
So we have neuroplasticity. And because of that, the thing I would go back and tell myself when I was young is, hey, Buttercup, better buck it up because you need to paint every single day.
Yeah.
Every day. You're not going to get to the place that you need to be unless you're doing it every day, all day. Now, that was for me because of the trajectory of life and creativity that I was on. But what I have learned from that is that it is the act of painting that makes you better, and that it is a nonstop growing growth process that we are in and that you are in. All right. I love a Halloween watercolor. Christy, I have them on my watercolor channel, I believe. If I don't, email me and let me know.
Post up in the group.
I have 2,500 paintings, so I don't know sometimes if...
the Facebook group is really a good place to find people.
Facebook group is a good place to find that. We just saw John's shirt. What are you doing? You're behind me. Are you turning me
here
up?
By the warmer.
Oh, you're putting your feet by the warmers?
My feet is warmer.
Your feet is warmer.
That's why you're warm in here, is I have a little heater on here.
I don't know if you all have a partner like my partner, but I am talking all the time. And I talk to myself and I wander through the house mumbling. And the latest mumble has been about, it is cold and I don't know what I'm going to do about my hands when we paint. And now there's a heater. And really John didn't even point it out to me, so that's how lucky I am.
It's like a really cute one, too. Look. It's like...
Marie says, my biggest hurdle is pushing past the ugly stage of a painting. You inspire me to do that with greater ease. Then I have one as a teacher. If all I do is help you guys get through your painting's awkward stage to your finished painting, right, and keep you painting, I have succeeded in everything I do because you guys really will do the rest of that work. You really will. I'm here with you, and I'm your friend, and I'm your support system, and you've got this. But I'm really here to give advice when it's helpful, right? Which it often is, tips, techniques, tricks, things to go. I know a lot of stuff, and I'm happy to share what I know. But the most important thing I do is to keep you believing in your ability to do this. And you are capable of doing this. Now, the thistle you paint today isn't the thistle you would paint in 5 years if you're consistently painting. You will grow and grow and grow and grow and grow and grow and grow.
Yes.
But your thistle today is the right thistle to paint today. Don't worry about 5-year thistle. Paint today's thistle. Today's thistle is wonderful. You may paint another one. And don't be mad at your art. If you're feeling mad at it, put it up for a little bit and then come back and speak to it later. That's what I do. I just ask it to think about what it's done, and then I come back and sometimes I have to do a repaint or a fix, or sometimes I'm like, oh, I see what happened there, or, it's those things.
Yep.
You guys be good to yourselves. Remember, everything you saw here on the show is in my store, so you could purchase it from us if you wanted to.
If you want, is there?
Right? And at a certain level patron, you could even, I think that's still going on.
I think we have discounts for
Yeah,
patrons.
we still have a discount for patrons over the $25 level. Everything else is the same. You just set the level you can afford because life is like that right now.
Yep.
But at $25 a month or higher, you can also get a coupon for the store. I did that because, well, we just physically can't afford it at any lower amount. The math person told us that. So we were like, okay. But other than that, all patron stuff, all patrons get everything, and you just set what works for you. And we appreciate that support, and we appreciate you going to the store. You can just shop at the store without being a patron. It's just a regular art store. And check out the Mikador Kids art supplies, especially the barnyard animal markers. I'm insane for those. I actually told John, you need to order me a set. How can I demo these without those?
Yeah.
Because that's what actually pulled me into their little booth. And it's like, I said to them, I'm like, you need to explain everything about this to me now. And they're like, I don't even know you. I'm like,
who are you, lady?
It's okay. Trust me, I'm helpful. You need to explain all of this because it's so magical and I want to use it all. So check out the Mikador. I think they're gonna be really hot in art. I hope we'll have it through the whole season, but I think the little brush in your life will thank you for these art supplies. The dark arts are amazing. The young artist is amazing, and it's super steam, and I love it. And I want you to know that yes, this does benefit me. It's my art store, but it's only in there because I am emphatically in love with the product.
Yeah.
And I think it's just cute and adorable. So check that out. All right. So be good to yourself. Be good to each other. I'll see you at an easel really soon. Bye-bye.